Hello, good evening everyone. Welcome back to Writer Coach Tony. Today I'm going to make another book review, this time on my favorite author, Alexander McCall Smith, for Trains and Lovers. Here's the one. Alexander McCall Smith for Trains and Lovers. Um, Alexander McCall Smith, actually his picture appears here, is a Scottish doctor. No? He's a medical doctor, but he also writes. No? So he's a member, I think, of the Surgical Society. Am I correct? So he's a medical doctor, but he has this ability to write these wonderful stories. He's the one who wrote the number one ladies detective agency. So Ramot's my favorite character. Her book, I've read many of her books, but some of them are there. But now I'm reading, and he's now venturing to other characters, and now he did Trains and Lovers. No? So the setting is in a train, and then he weaves this romantic notion that strangers who go on a train trip, the strangers we meet, we usually are able to talk with them in an easier manner because they're strangers, no? So they don't know our backstory, so they are just able to listen, no, to our stories. So in Trains and Lovers, four people are in a carriage, train carriage, three men, one woman, two young men, I think, and two older persons, older man and woman. And the first character, I think Andrew, the youngest, is the one who starts the ball rolling by talking about why he's going back to London. And the reason is, so because of that, the story starts, and then each one of them kind of tells their own love story. So in a way, the book has no plot. No? It's just a snippet of four different characters, a part of their love experiences, and it contains a lot of good quotes. But anyway, um, Andrew is the first one, and he is an art student, and he lives in Oban. I don't know if there's really an Oban, Scotland, but he lives in Oban in Scotland. He's an art student in Edinburgh, and then his teacher likes him, his university professor likes him, and recommends him to work for an auction house. It's not clear whether it's Sotheby's or Christie's, but anyway, it's either of the two, the biggest auction houses in the world. And he gets the job. He gets a summer job, so he has to go to from Oban. Instead of going back to Oban, he has to go to London, no, for the summer, work for 3 months for the auction house. And at first, he did not believe, no, that it was worthy. But there's a beautiful quote here where the guy says to him, um, he says, um, oh, don't go through life giving up before you've even begun. So his teacher tells him, don't go through life giving up before you've even begun. It's a beautiful saying that there's a lot of people um, do that, no? Before they've even begun with their plans, they give up because of many other factors, maybe lack of money, lack of support. So anyway, that's one of the quotes I love about the book. So Andrew goes to London, and one of his fellow interns happens to be, I forgot her name, but um, they become an item, no? And yeah, I forgot the name of the girl. She has a unique name, Hermione. It's Hermione, Hermione, and she happens to be loaded. She comes from a rich family. Her dad is a very famous businessman who apparently is an a-hole. No? So he's father is rich and powerful, but he's not well loved. And I think one of the issues of the relationship is um, if Andrew can handle the dad, no? Because the dad is a bit, in Tagalog we call it patapobre, no? If he thinks you're below him, he can say, you're not worthy of my daughter. And because he wants someone more, um, more like him to get married to his daughter. And Andrew is just an art history student. So the dad was condescendingly on him, saying, "Why are you studying art history? What will you get from a career in art history?" So it's kind of putting down Andrew. So anyway, eventually that becomes an issue in the relationship, the disparity in wealth, and then also the dad um, makes the point that Hermione and Andrew could not date. No, so he always sets dinners, but never invites Andrew. So in a way, he tries to push Andrew away, and he almost succeeds. No, but something happens towards the end. I'm not going to tell that part of the story now, because I wanted to read the book. Um, that changes things, and yeah, something good happens to the dad and to Andrew and to Hermione and their relationship. So that part I will leave it out. Just read the book. So that's Andrew's story. That's first character. Second character I remember is Kay. Kay's the only girl, and oh, she has a dramatic story. Her parents, her dad, comes from Scotland, and then, but she's Australian because her dad, when he was young, he in the 19 I don't know what year 20s, it happened that many Scotsmen rowed the boat and looked for adventure all over the world. Since England had many colonies, so they have Hong Kong, they have Singapore, they have India, South Africa. They also have Australia. Many bored young men in Scotland and in England. In this case, the character comes from Scotland. They wanted adventure in their life, and Kay's dad decides to go to Australia. And this was the time when Australia was still undeveloped. So her dad turned work. Her dad's work became a someone who maintains the rail. So there's a rail apparently from Perth that goes all the way to Darwin, passes through the Western Territories, and that part is the most dry part because, as you know, Australia is a desert. So that part nobody lives, and you have to deal with the Aborigines, and then there's so many problems. You'll be alone. So anyway, it suits their character. It's just the character of Case Dad. It's just the character of his wife. So even if they're together alone in the middle of nowhere, they were able to build a love story. Yeah? And they had Kate, and it was not Kay's love story. It was her dad's love story. But it's beautiful to see because sometimes your destiny. She says there that my parents didn't do anything great in their lives, but they were able to find their reason for living. When they found each other, their personalities merged perfectly, and uh, they were able to form a family, and they were happy, which is, I guess, the theme of the book. You have to be happy. Okay. Before that, let's proceed to another. Let's see. Because there were many. There's a poem by W.H. Auden in the book. He says, "Love requires an object, but this varies so much. Almost, I imagine, anything will do. When I was a child, I loved a pumping engine. Thought it every bit as beautiful as you." So it's a poem poem by W.H. Auden. I'm gonna post it in my Facebook. It's beautiful, no? This guy really writes beautiful poems. So he wrote that poem in Four Weddings and a Funeral, no? The death poem. I love that. That's gonna be in my death. They have to read that poem. In my funeral, I mean. But anyway, um, so who uses that? Uh, yeah, they were in the train, so there's no particular character who uses that. Let's see, what other characters? I only remember the third one. Um, because somebody's gay, or you know, unrequited love here. Um, David. Uh, sorry, I only remember the ones with so much impact. The other story naman is American, no? So this guy's American, and he's a university professor also. And then when he was young, his parents would bring him to Maine, in a small town in Maine. So it's in the north, and nobody goes there for vacation. And then he spends his vacation there with the family. And then he meets a boy. He was 15 years old. So I remember really how they met. Um, he was rowing. He was rowing in the river that goes to the sea. So apparently that place is dangerous. He wanted to go there because he wanted to fish. But apparently that place is dangerous because of the currents, no? So the river meets the sea currents. So there's a tendency for your boat to be driven away. And what happens is he was preparing his fishing rod. He didn't notice that his other paddle fell to the sea. So he only had one paddle. And he realizes that the paddle was already going down, no? So he decided to go back inland, but since he only had one paddle, he was just, if I was just imagine it, he was just turning around and around. So anyway, so in other words, he was going nowhere when suddenly this boy, when he realized that a person, it turned out to be a boy about his age, comes out and picks up his paddle and then gives the paddle to him and then attaches his boat because the other boy has a bigger boat. Attaches the boat to him and then leads them back to safety. And the two become friends. No, but at that time there were homosexual urges. I mean tendencies. I don't know if it's homosexual, but they never requited their love. No, they both like each other, but I guess because they were really straight, it was never consummated. There was nobody ever made the move. They had many chances of meeting each other through the course of the book. So they met in college. The guy goes to Princeton. The other guy also goes to Princeton. So they did meet many times. They went on vacation together in Europe, but they were never ever able to express to each other how they felt. Like they couldn't say "I love you" or something was holding each one of them back. And the sad thing is now the book is written, the character is now in his 50s, no? So they have wives and children, they have families, and yeah, nothing came of it. No? Nothing came of it because they were too afraid to express their love for each other. No? So that part was unrequited love. Um, Now thinking of the fourth story, I cannot remember. Um, let's see. I'll try to remember. This is art, and then oh yes, now I remember. So another dramatic story. So the fourth guy, I think he's a lawyer, and then he was assigned to go to a faraway place, and then this was too busy doing something, tying his shoes, getting prepared. He went down the wrong station, wrong train station. So He's going somewhere outside London. He goes down the wrong station, but there he meets a girl, a school teacher, and they clicked. And then they clicked so much that they wanted to see each other. They arranged their lives so that even if it was a long distance relationship, the guy moved to London, worked in London, and the girl worked in a town yata very close to London. So it allowed them to see each other. So the girl would go to London, or the boy would go to the town of the girl. So they were able to preserve their love affair. The problem is when they went to Paris and one of their something happened in Paris. So I think that part I will leave it to you. So you read the book, Trains and Lovers. I love it. Something happens in Paris, which kind of destroys the relationship. It's actually a relationship based on trust, and the question it asks, do you really know the person you're sleeping with? Do you really know your lover? Um, Apparently, in the book, the character uh, doesn't, yeah, really trust his girlfriend because there are too many loopholes, no? Um, and yeah, that lack of trust, kind of destroyed the relationship. So that was a sad part. Sad part also is the one who's unrequited love, two gay men, and then Kate's relationship is happy. The other one's also happy because they're getting back together. So in a way, the book shows that yeah, you have to love. You have to open your heart to the possibility that you'll meet um, people. No, you'll meet people. You'll have relationships. Um, so be open always. I think that's what um, Alexander McCall Smith wants to tell your readers, no? Especially those who are looking for love. It can happen at any age. So that when the opportunity comes, you grab it. So anyway, with that, thank you very much for your time. Please follow me on my Instagram, my my um, Facebook, and my Twitter. And then please follow my channel, Writer Coach Tony. Thank you very much, and good night. Bye bye.